Commission joint hearing for Thursday, December 15th, 2016, that the Joint Commissions will hold one public hearing for the public to provide testimony on all items listed below. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission will consider certifying the final environmental impact report for the Natural Resource Management Plan, formerly named Significant Natural Resources Area Management Plan, or SNRAMP. And the Recreation and Park Commission will consider adopting the CEQA findings for the plan and will then consider approving the plan.
Commissioners, my name is Dawn Cumberland-Athen, and I am the Planning and Capital Director for the San Francisco Recreation and Parks Department. This plan is an effort to really deepen our commitment to environmentalism. We're hoping to really focus on the core of this plan, the guiding philosophy, and also guiding directives that we hope will shape our conservation efforts and also ensure continued public access to these unique resources for years to come.
My name is Lisa Wayne. I serve as the Natural Resources Manager for the San Francisco Recreation and Park Department. My intent here today is, in the next 10 minutes or less, to explain to you why this plan is important and what the recommendations are. That's a little bit like distilling down War and Peace to a tweet, but I will do my best. The development of this plan and the EIR have been 20 years in the making. Through the course of the development, there have been many opportunities for community input and comment to be incorporated into the document. There have been 3 major drafts of the plan: independent, scientific, and peer review. And while the certification of the EIR and the plan is certainly a milestone, in many ways it's just the beginning, because public input and comment will continue through the plan implementation. Another property that contains endangered species is Sharp Park, not Harp Park, in San Mateo County. At Sharp Park, the plan makes recommendations aimed at the recovery of 2 state and federally listed species, the California red-legged frog and the San Francisco garter snake. The plan recommends creating a habitat corridor between the wetlands, shown on the left-hand side of the photo, creating and recreating open water habitat for the breeding of the frogs, and the creation of upland habitat for basking and thermal regulation of the snake species.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Melinda Hugh from the Environmental Planning Division of the Planning Department. I am joined by Lisa Gibson, Acting Environmental Review Officer, and Jessica Range, Senior Environmental Planner. The item before the Planning Commission is the certification of the Final Environmental Impact Report, or EIR, for the proposed Natural Resource Management Plan. A draft of the EIR certification motion is also before the Planning Commission. The draft EIR was published on August 31st, 2011. The public hearing on the draft EIR was held on October 6th, 2011. The public comment period closed on October 31st, 2011. April 27th, 2012, the Planning Department opened a second public review period, which ended on June 11th, 2012. The comments and responses document was published and distributed on November 16th, 2016. The EIR analyzes the plan at a program level with the exception of routine maintenance activities and the Sharp Park restoration project, which are analyzed at a project-specific level. The EIR found that implementation of the plan would result in the following significant, unavoidable environmental impacts that could not be mitigated below a significant level. 1, a significant project-specific and cumulative impact on Sharp Park Golf Course, a historic resource under CEQA, due to modification of golf holes for restoration activities. Staff recommends that the Commission adopt the motion before you that certifies that the contents of the report are adequate and accurate, and that the procedures through which the final EIR was prepared comply with the provisions of CEQA, the CEQA guidelines, and Chapter 31 of the Administrative Code.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Richard Harris. I've been before many of you before over the years for the San Francisco Public Golf Lands. The Sharp Park is a treasure of international significance to the golf community. We have set that out to you in several letters over the years. I have summarized that in a letter that we delivered late last night. I've delivered hard copies to you, ask you to look that through. There requires balance here between there's a very significant property, and we, the golfers, have been generally agreeable to the balance that needs to be struck between the playing of golf, the historic golf course built by Alister MacKenzie, and the native species. Golf is a recreation in nature. We respect nature. We want to get along with nature. I ask you to look through the letter that I sent, which summarizes the last 5 or 6 years of these public hearings, of trips to court, of trips to the agencies, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Coastal Zone Commission. They've heard the arguments to close the golf course. They've heard our arguments to keep the golf course and balance. And they have all, including the courts, including the Coastal Zone Commission, said, yeah, let's strike a balance. This is historic. This is important public recreation. Low cost. That's under the Coastal Act. That is a significant value. It's a significant value under the CEQA as well, because this is architectural history.
My name is Brian Perkins. I'm the District Director for Congresswoman Jackie Spear, and the Congresswoman asked that I read into the record a letter that she sent and circulated, I believe, to all the members. Dear Commission Presidents Buell and Fong, for several years I have encouraged San Francisco and San Mateo counties to come to an agreement regarding the management of Sharp Park. It is my understanding that negotiations are ongoing. The issues surrounding the park, and in particular the golf course, involve a mixture of city, state, and federal policies and laws. As you also know, the golf course is adjacent to Maury Point in Pacifica. Maury Point is land held by the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. It is my understanding that staff have proposed a plan for Sharp Park that enhances the habitat of the red-legged frog and San Francisco garter snake, while also realigning the existing golf course to provide continued use of this public course. I hope that the Recreation and Parks Commission will adopt the Natural Resources Management Plan, and the Planning Commission will certify the Environmental Impact Report. Both steps will reduce the ambiguity surrounding the future of this property. The habitat for the species is special. The plan would improve the connection between Horse Stable Pond and Laguna Salada and add about 1 acre of new wetlands. An additional area of upland refuge would be created, and encroaching plant species and accumulated sediment will be removed. We do not have the luxury of time with respect to this property. Continued erosion of the seawall and accumulations of sediment and plants already threaten these two species. Recreation and Parks Department staff did enormous work on this project, and the golfers would, of course, also like to continue playing on the modified course. A good configuration and continued use of this property is explained in the proposed Natural Resources Management Plan. I urge both commissions, consistent with all applicable laws and regulations, to give the go-ahead for this exciting next chapter in the life of Sharp Park. All the best, Jackie Spear, Congresswoman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Mike Wallach. I'm a 33-year resident of San Francisco, an enthusiastic but bad golfer, and a patron of the San Francisco municipal courses. I'm here to urge the Commissioners to approve the final EIR and the Rec and Parks Natural Areas Program, which includes the Rec and Park Balance Plan to save the historic 18-hole Sharp Park Golf Course and continuing to enhance the managed frog and snake habitat in the wetlands. I've closely followed this story and have spoken in front of the commissions and the Board of Supervisors over the last 9 or 10 years, including Phil McIrini's commission a while ago when the plans were first being surfaced. And this controversy, I've observed, is usually framed, as far as it relates to Sharp Park, is usually framed as environmentalists versus golfers. It really is not that. It's really about environmentalists versus eco-litigators with an axe to grind, all right? On the one hand, you have some practical, pragmatic, problem-solving environmentalists like the dedicated and hardworking employees in the San Francisco Rec and Park Department, some of them right here behind me, who I've seen out there. I'm out on the golf course. I see them out in the, I see them out there in the wetlands, monitoring the frogs, being careful about it, and also some world-renowned experts who have been hired by RECPARK and are working with RECPARK, including including Karen Swaim and Professor Mark Jennings, who are world-renowned experts on Sharp Park, on the red-legged frog. And through a whole host of commissions, court dates, whatever, we've seen RECPARK and the Prozac Committee, the Planning Commission, Public Utilities Commissions, Mayor's Office, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Army Corps of Engineers, California Regional Water Quality Board, California Coastal Commission, the San Francisco Superior Court, San Mateo County Superior Court, U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, and Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals have all validated the report and the studies that show that the frog and snake are doing well as a managed habitat under the stewardship of the San Francisco RECPARK. So I urge the Commission, don't be distracted by self-serving, spurious claims of those wanting to separate Sharp Park from this plan. Reject those arguments to sever Sharp Park, approve the National Areas Final EIR, approve the National Areas Plan. Let's get something done. Let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Robert Doyle. I am the General Manager of the East Bay Regional Park District, and I come to you from the land of opposite shore.
Welcome.
And nevertheless, the East Bay Parks and the city and county of San Francisco are two of the most wonderful systems we have in California, if not the entire United States. They are truly marvelous benefits to the urban populations that we serve. We have 120,000 acres in the East Bay, and we have 25 million users a year. That's both a really wonderful benefit and a big challenge, managing the people. 2 golf courses. And I know that that's a big concern with the plan. And I would like to say that we've been able to manage 2 very popular golf courses by enhancing native habitat, stream restoration, increasing bird diversity, and increasing wetlands and red-legged frog habitat in those areas. So it is possible. Using adaptive management techniques, you can both provide the needed recreation and the appreciated recreation and also enhanced habitat for endangered species. Is a plan that I support that has the support of the staff, the support of the Commission and the public. It needs to be adaptive. It needs to be transparent, and it needs to think about the balance of recreation, and you've done that. So I support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Circumstance where the professionals, your staff that reports to Phil and the Commission indirectly, organized their union. And the reason they organized their union is because they did have a message for you, and that was to move forward with the parks plan. I get called in from time to time by some employees, and we are a construction union, and I think the planning commissioners know that well. And the work that they do it's highly technical. For those of you that don't know, I went to UC Santa Cruz, and the horticulture department, I stayed away from it because that's where the real work was going on. So, for me, it's always a pleasure to be here. But I do want you to know a couple of things. First of all, we have a number of apprentices here, and then we have professional horticulturalists that take care of this land. They take it really, really seriously. Like, they don't joke about it. They don't let me joke about it. It's a serious business for them. And I think that the citizens should note that they keep us all honest. They keep the commissioners honest. They keep the elected officials honest. They keep management honest. And they keep the union honest. And that's why it's an honor for me that they still have me delivering these messages for them. But really, it's about making sure that you all know that staff is in support of this program, that even though you see orange shirts in front of you, what I'm hoping that you see is master's degrees, and you see people who have given their entire lives to this system, and they've given their entire lives to the parks and the people that we serve, and to the people that are on the opposite side of this issue. Respectfully, I heard the Sierra Club, I heard a number of people. We want to be really, really respectful about that and just say it's good for all of us when the workers are heard. And that's all we wanted to do. We just wanted to make sure that everybody, despite where they were, had a chance to hear directly from staff. And that's a credit to General Manager Ginsburg. We've changed staff. We've raised the professional bar. We have state certified apprentice. These people are top-notch in this system. And I think a park system like that deserves to have top-notch professional stewards. That's what we have. That's why we're here today. Thank you so much for hearing us out.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving up those seats. I see 22 people. That saves us about an hour and 10 minutes, and so thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Commission, for this opportunity to speak. As a native San Franciscan, I love this process and feel so grateful to have a voice. My voice is one of a golfer. I grew up playing Sharp Park, and I now teach a very diverse international group of women competitive golf. We all start somewhere, and we all pick up different recreation, and golf was the one that I was fortunate enough to have access to as a young child. Sharp Park is not only a beautiful place for recreation, it's also one of the most diverse parks that I know of. Both young and old people are out there enjoying the historic landmark that is we are so fortunate to call as part of our city. I currently, as I said, I currently coach a group of young women and volunteer with the First Tee. And I want to just thank the staff for all of their effort. As a San Franciscan, biodiversity and being an environmentalist is part of my identity. Being outside is part of my identity. And finding that balance between recreation and the environment and the treasures that we have here, is very important. So I urge you to approve this plan and the EIR and move forward and do great work. I really appreciated seeing all the workers here, and thank you for your time. Thank you for all of your work on this.
My name is John Burns. I'm here to support the completion of the renovations at Sharp Park. I am an award-winning author and filmmaker, environmentalist, and I'm a golfer. In 1973, I designed and built what is now the oldest continuously operating rural recycling center in the United States. I powered it with a wind generator. I know a thing or two about ecology, habitat, and the environment, and I believe that this commission knows a thing or two about the very same things. I taught golf for San Francisco's Park and Recreation. My 146 students came from different racial, religious, and ethnic backgrounds. It was a teaching challenge unlike anything I've ever experienced, and one left me exhausted every day, and one that I still cherish. I taught the history of golf, and through it, I saw a fascination grip my kids. It was astounding to them that a game played in the year 1557 is virtually the same as golf we play today. Golf, with its unbendable rules, became the glue and the great equalizer that lent harmony to my ragtag group, where great friendships were forged and life lessons, such as perseverance, provided my kids with an easy-to-see key that perseverance leads to success in golf the same as it does in life. You have already listened to all of these arguments before you, and I'm not going to bore you with those details again. I'm here to support the decisions you've made and to reinforce how close you are to finalizing the amazing amount of cooperative and environmentally sound work you've already accomplished. I applaud you of nature lovers and their children who also love to play golf now and until the end of days on our national treasure, Sharp Park Golf Course. I urge you to complete this noteworthy project. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Paul Slavin. I'm president of the Pacifica Historical Society. I want to just address the Sharp Park question from a historical perspective. I'll leave the science, which has been discussed for many years, to others. In 1929, when the San Francisco City Fathers were looking for someone to build their new golf course on the coast of San Mateo County, they had the immense good fortune to hire the greatest living golf architect in the world. Alister MacKenzie was then in the process of revolutionizing the way courses were perceived and the way the game was played, and he is now considered one of the most influential architects in the history of the game. The course he designed at Sharp Park is an absolute jewel, a showcase of his artistic touches, the magnificent sight lines of headlands and horizons, the wide fairways and rolling hills. Like all MacKenzie courses, it offers a game that is enjoyable for the average player, but challenging for a more talented golfer. And this, remember, is a municipal course open to all players, not a pampered private country club course. For over 80 years, Sharp Park has been the most demographically diversified recreational opportunity in the Bay Area. Sharp Park is now in the best shape I've seen it in years. The work having been done on the course is clearly successful. And I might add that the frogs are thriving. Mackenzie's genius is more evident than ever. I congratulate the city for their care of this historic natural treasure and encourage you not to separate Sharp Park from the Natural Resources Management Plan. Thank you.
Public comment is closed. And Jonas, you want to remind us of any actions or what actions in order we're going to take today?
Surely, Commission President. So there will be two actions that are taken. The first action will be taken by the Planning Commission only. And the second action will be by the Recreation and Park Commission only. The first action by the Planning Commission will be to certify the final environmental impact report, and the second action would be by the Rec and Park Commission to adopt the plan.
Just a couple questions I have, and I'm not sure if they're for planning staff or for Rec Park staff, but can someone explain kind of the Sharp Park, the reason why we're doing a project level EIR for the Sharp Park changes in a program level EIR? And we've seen this in other areas, but maybe you can kind of clarify to us why that's happening here in this case.
I want to make one thing very clear. We are talking about a habitat restoration project on an existing golf course. We are not talking about developing a golf course. We're talking about doing a habitat project, a very significant one that, by the way, has been planned in consultation with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and state Fish and Wildlife. And its intent and purpose is to help the red-legged frog and the California garter snake thrive. And that is what we're talking about, and that's why it's in the plan. And so from there, I'll turn it over to Dawn.
Commissioners, again, Dawn Cumberland-Athen, Recreation and Park Department. As General Manager Phil Ginsburg stated, the Sharp Park project before you is not a golf course development project. It is a restoration project that has been contemplated in one form or another since 1992. And that's the Laguna Salada restoration project at Sharp Park. Since 2006, the San Francisco Recreation and Park Department decided to actually pursue a more robust restoration project that was initially contemplated in 2006 at Laguna Salada, in part in response to observing how quickly the habitat was continued to deteriorate at Laguna Salada, and that action was needed. In coordination with regulatory agencies, we developed what what had started as kind of a programmatic project, like all the other parks that are identified in the EIR, with more specificity, and we developed the project to 30% drawings so that we could then seek the permits necessary to conduct this restoration. Having completed that work, it made tremendous sense, given that the goals were identical and in fact related to the program goals that had been established, to wrap the park into the EIR rather than to pursue I'm not sure what administratively would be accomplished or from a policy perspective by separating at that point. They were identical and it came off of the SINRAMP programmatic EIR. It made sense to include them. That additional, or I should say more robust habitat restoration project included additional habitat creation between Laguna Salada and Horse Stable Pond. And that additional habitat creation necessitates the removal of hole 12, which then, in a domino effect, causes a significant and unavoidable impact to the historic resource that is the golf course, which then, of course, had to be analyzed per CEQA for impacts. And we had to explore in the document and think about other places where the hole could go that wouldn't cause a historic impact. So that is all according to CEQA, and again, being driven by the restoration project. So this is not a golf course remodeling project. It is a restoration project that has an impact on the golf course.
I mean, my issue is, and I didn't quite understand some of the public comment where people are asking us to take that out of the EIR, because
it's
I
not
think
in the
us
EIR.
Analyzing it, but the restoration project is the fact that we analyze it and can certify it gives the ability for the RECPARK Commission to do the project or to expand it and do one of the alternatives, or to reduce it and do the maintenance alternative in that project. So taking it out of the EIR, I don't think really helps anybody. It kind of ties the hands of the RECPARK Commission to not do anything and kind of continue on with the status quo.
In terms of Sharp Park, I guess, Mr. Ginsburg, Director Ginsburg, it sounded like from your explanation that there wasn't really a range of alternatives that we could look at because we were kind of under order to do something from the Department of Fish and Game.
No, I don't think that that's exactly right. Maybe you want to talk about how the quote unquote alternatives is the maintenance,
just keep it the way it is and maintain it.
Is the keep it the way it is option. And this is the whole purpose of this exercise at Sharp and elsewhere. And by the way, I think it's important for people to understand, for context, Sharp is 400 acres. The golf course is 100 of it. That we've been thinking through. Our primary focus here is habitat restoration. Yes, we want to do it with balancing a very legitimate recreational amenity. Mm-hmm. But the mission of this plan, and a very important mission of our department, is to conserve natural resources and preserve habitat. And this project that, in consultation with these other agencies, is an ambitious. It will be one of the most ambitious habitat restoration projects this department has ever taken on. And it could fundamentally be a game changer for the California red-legged frog, the red-legged frog in the California
maybe staff or Mr. Ginsburg trying to reconcile the fact that the scoping document explicitly excluded the Sharp Park, yet in this programmatic EIR it's included.
So in 2009, when the notice of preparation and initial study were prepared, that's where the notice of preparation said that the golf course would not be included in the project. Between 2009 and August 2011, when the draft EIR was released, that's when the plan changed. And so that's when we analyzed the project as it is currently proposed. It hasn't changed since 2011, other than the errata that was introduced today. I do want to point out, though, the alternatives that were analyzed. We did analyze project-level alternatives for Sharp Park.
Appears no further comments. Call the question.
There are no further comments, Commissioners. There is a motion that has been seconded to to certify the final environmental impact report. On that motion, Commissioner Hillis.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Koppel.
Aye.
Commissioner Melgar.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
No.
Commissioner Richards.
Aye.
And Commission President Fong.
Aye.
So moved, Commissioners. That motion passes 6-1 with Commissioner Moore voting against.
if you get down to it, it is that Sharp Park is not a golf course development. It's a habitat plan, and we've looked at it as requiring greater focus sooner, which is a better thing. And so I think that that's a positive move. I would go back to a comment made earlier. This document, which has had an enormous amount of work and an enormous amount of staff time, and now an environmental impact report, is the framework to give guidance. This doesn't mean that tomorrow there's going to be chainsaws out clear-cutting Mount Davidson or any other part of the city. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
I would like to move to have this approved based on the resolution that's in our materials. I do agree that this was a very thoughtful document, comprehensive, well-founded on scientific evidence. Scientists can disagree, maybe like lawyers can disagree. And,
Never.
It was a very thoughtful document, and I would like to commend staff and staff before staff on the hard work that they did to put this together.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Before I ask for a roll call vote, I do want to thank everybody that showed up today, because I think it showed an enormous amount of interest, and I share the comment that how proud we are that San Francisco takes this so seriously. With that, could you call the roll?
Sorry.
Commissioner Anderson?
In favor.
Commissioner Bonilla?
In favor.
Commissioner Harrison?
Yes.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
And Commissioner Buell?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much. Do we need to move to adjourn?
I think so.
Public
So
comment?
moved. Yep.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.